I'm Dr. Mahammad Rafi, Associate Professor, Department of Cybersecurity at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today, I want to discuss about the problem and solutions on a standard MIB and SNMPV1 protocol and practical issues in a SNMP protocol. Here is standard MIB, SNMPV1 protocol and practical issues MIB. So this is the topic today I want to discuss. Here is the problems. Generally, common are the problems and solutions which is related to the management information base, that is a MIB. SNMPV1 protocol and practical issues that can be arised in a network the programming. Here is generally network the programming. Generally these type of the management information based problems and the protocol problems. SNMP simple network message the protocol the problems will be arise. Some of the practical issues will be encountered. So in a network, the programming and management. So first, management information based structure and understanding the issues in a MIB. We'll discuss about the MIB, management information based structure and issues. What are the issues will be arised? The problem is generally in MIB, the problem is understanding the hierarchical structure of the MIB. That means hierarchical structure of the MIB, management information, we can manage the information in the form of the trees. In the form of the hierarchical structure, we can manage the information. So can be confusing and particularly for new comers. MIBs are organized in a tree structure. That means a tree structure means in a hierarchical form. That means a parent-child the relations. So first the parent and so the number of the children can be connected to the parents. Here, so it is a tree structure. So in this the tree the structure form, we can represent the message information base. That means all the messages can be maintained, can be stored in the form of the these are the tree the structure, and navigating, it will be the navigating through the different other branches that can be challenging. Here is the solution is now, which is the familiarize yourself now with the basic structure of the MIB. So it is the solution, and also now we can use the tools. The tools are MIB browsers, message information database of the browsers. So these are the message information database of the browser now, which can storing the data in a hierarchical form. Here, this whatever the data we have stored in a hierarchical form, it can be visualized the tree structure. It can be visualized the tree structure. Now, starting with the simpler MIB, here is the simpler MIB means now every tree structure starting with the parents. Now, which is the progressively moving to the more the complex nodes. That means now we are moving from parent to the childs. Here, the data can be stored. So at the node level, here is this level 0, level 1, level 2 up to level n number of levels. The data can be stored in each and every level. We can store the data, and understanding how the objects are identifying, how the objects are mapping. That means what the data we are storing at particular node, how the data is mapping from node 1 to node other 2 in a hierarchical form to the specific element in a message information database. So this is a solution. That means database now, for that one, any issues now, the hierarchical, the presentation, now we are presenting any other issues arise in a message information the database. Next, incompatibility message information database versions. So these are the versions now. If you take, so some of these the incompatibility is there. What are that the incompatibility? The problem. How can you say the problem with this incompatibility in MIS? Different versions of the MIB message information base maybe exist for the same device or the same other system. Now we take the same device, communicating device or networking. So different versions are existing for that one. Version 1, version 2, version 3. For example, now Windows operating system, the Windows now which is having the number of versions. Version 1, Windows version 7, version 10, version 13. So like this number of versions now we are proposing for the same device or same system. Different versions of the MIB may be exist. So this is the problem leading to the incompatibility issues. Here is the different versions of the same device now which leads the incompatibility issues. Using an incorrect MIB version, so can result in a incorrect data retrieval. So or inability to access the certain IDs. Object IDs can be accessed. Whatever the objects you want to present, if you want to present, or whatever the objects you have stored in the form of the hierarchy in a MIB database, now the particular objects can be identified and retrieved very effectively. Here is the solution is that the always know which is ensures you using the correct version of the MIB file. Here different versions is there. From that other different other versions, the correct matching versions can be utilized and storing the other data in a MIB database. That means simple network message the protocol agent versions on a device. Here is now the solution for that one is now matching to the correct version of the MIB which is matching to the SNMP the protocol versions on that other device. So with this now, these different versions incompatibility can be resolved. Regularly, now we have to update the MIB files. Regularly, we have to update the message information database other files by updating the other versions. To avoid these other issues now, we update the object IDs. Different types of the object ID. So one ID can be allocated to the one the particular the identified the data which will be stored in a hierarchical particular parent node, and it's the child other node. Here identify the data, whatever the data we have stored at the child level or at the parent level, that can be identified and updated. So by this the updation now, the different incompatibility the versions can be resolved. Regularly we have to updating the MIB the files and other versions. Here we can avoid the issues. These are the issues can be avoided. Next the problem is security issues. So by using the SNMPV1 the version 1 now, some the security related the issues will be arised. What are that the security the issues means here? Some the plain text the community string. Plain text now, whatever the plain text now we are going to the communicating for the authenticate the users in between the authenticate users. Now the security the problems will be arised, which has in the minimum say less the security or minimal the security. That means now that can lead the unauthorized access. Why? Because here with the minimum security now, the network, the attackers can be identified the network other vulnerabilities with the minimal other securities. Here with that now, unauthorized access, the attackers, man in the middle of the attackers now, they will attack the information. Whatever the information you are transmitting from one network device to the another network other device. So that is the data interception. The security issues will be arised. The solution for that one is now enhance the protocol SNMPV1, SNMPV1 are the protocol now which is enhanced to SNMPV1, SNMPV1 and SNMPV2. So these the V1 the protocol is enhanced to SNMPV2 and SNMPV3 the versions. Two versions. Now these are the versions now. The security the issues can be resolved with this the protocol. Simple network message the protocol version 2 and version 3. Now which is the possible to avoiding the security issues, the communicating issues. Now with this the protocol, while you transmit the data from one network device to the another network device, with help of this the protocol now, the vulnerabilities, the attackers can't find the vulnerabilities. Here they offer the improved the security the features. That means the security features will be enhanced. Here is SNMPV1 must be used. That's why here it is must be used to restrict the access through the network security controls. That means the network security the controls are generally in a network management system. Now we are using the firewalls and limited access trusted IP addresses. So these network security the controllers by using this one now we can avoid the security issues or security concerns in a networks. Here by implementing these SNMP V2, V3, now effectively we can transfer the data from one network to the another network. Next problem with SNMP V1 is the performance problem. Here is performance the problem. What are the performance the problem with the SNMP V1? That means SNMP V1, so which introduce the significant network overhead. Here it is introduce the significant network overhead. So especially the large amount of data are being pulled frequently. If you pull the data frequently, now network overhead will be arise. Overloading. Network will be the overload. So this is the problem which can need the network the congestions. Congestions will be arise. The traffic, the load is more. That means the data more the data if you are transferring, generally the congestions will be arise. The solution for that one is optimize the SNMP polling the intervals to reduce the network the traffic. Here network the traffic can be reduced by optimizing the SNMP polling intervals. And with help of these SNMP traps, we can able to receive the asynchronous the notifications for the critical events. Whatever the critical the messages of critical events, now the asynchronous the notifications also we can resolve these performance overhead the issues. That means the constant the polling for the information. That's why here we have to consider these SNMP V2 and V3, which is supports the improving the performance and reducing the overhead on over the network. So which are the more efficient. Here is SNMP agent the configuration issues. SNMP agent the configuration issues. That means the problem is improper configurations of SNMP agent. Here is the improper configuration of the SNMP agent on a network device. that can lead to the failure in a data connection or incorrect data being reported. That means here failure of the data or the collections, and reported it as a incorrect data. So that is a SNMP configuration issues. So if you are not properly configured, now these issues will be arise. The proper data, now we can't receive the proper data from the device client to the server communication. In a client server communication, the server can't receive the proper data. So with the improper the configuration of the SNMP protocol, generally here is the solution for that one. Here carefully we have to configure the SNMP agent configuration. The correct the configuration is required on any client device or server other device. Here is which is ensuring that the correct the community strings. Community strings that should be the whatever the data you are transferring that should be configured very perfect, very effectively, which access the controlling list and trap the destinations are set. Test the configuration so thoroughly before deploying it in a production environment. Production the environment that can be deployed. Difficulties in a troubleshooting of the SNMP the communication. Here is while the communicating the data between the two different devices, generally some of the troubleshooting in a troubleshooting here, some of the difficulties can be faced. So that is troubleshooting the SNMP communication issues. First is troubleshooting SNMP the communication issues, such as timeout. Here now while transmitting the data from client to server, particular the time bound. In a particular time bound now we are transmitting the data between the client and other server, or incorrect data. If it is timeout, even though if you transfer the data which is not reaches to the server, so this is the problem. And incorrect data also, if you are transferring the incorrect data, even though if the server is receives that the data, no use. So that is that can be very complex due to the variety of the components are involved. So these are the issues. Timeout or incorrect data transparency issues will be arise in a with help of the SNMP the protocols are its the versions. Here for that now the debugging the tools, we have to utilize the debugging tools. That is the debugging tools are SNMP walk, like SNMP walk or SNMP set. Here SNMP walk, SNMP set or SNMP get. So these are all the debugging tool. By utilizing these as the debugging tool now, effectively we can transfer the data, and these are the communication issues. The correct data can be transmitted, or within the time bound we can transfer the data to interacting with the SNMP agents. Now by interacting with the SNMP agents, checking the communication issues. These tools, whatever the tools now we are utilizing, so these are the tools now which is checking the communication issues, and check and variety of the network the connectivities and the community and strings accuracy. So that are the appropriate the ports or the opened. So usually generally we are utilizing the user the datagram or the protocol 161 by 162. That means here interoperability issues. Next, interoperability issues. So internal operation issues between the SNMP manager and agent. Generally here SNMP manager and agent while transferring the data between this manager and agent, so some internal operation issues will be arise. The problem is SNMP manager and agent from different other vendors may have the internal operation issues due to the non-standard implementation. So this is the reason. The standardization, so very low standardization, some internal operation issues will be arise. Here for that now the solution is we have to ensure both the SNMP manager agents are compliant with the standard MIB database. Standard MIB based database and SNMP the protocols. Here is SNMP the protocols. That means when dealing with the vendor or the specific database, here when dealing with the vendor or the specific message information database, now verify that both the parties, that is the sender and receiver, understood, support the extension. Understood and support the extension. Here is, in case of the any issues, data transparency issues, we have to consider the SNMP and the proxy servers. Dealing with the outdated SNMP implementation. Now, if you are utilizing the outdated SNMP implementations now, some of the older network devices may only support the SNMPV1 and may not have the option to upgrading, leading to the functionalities and security other risks. That means the solution for that one, segmenting the network to isolating the devices. So we have to isolate the other devices. For outdated implementation, now the device is outdated, the protocol is outdated. So isolating for that devices now, we have to isolate the devices with the outdated SNMP implementation. Outdated SNMP implementation. Now we have to apply the access control measures. Access the control other measures and monitor these other devices. That will be very close. Here, the possibility is now replacing, upgrading the hardware devices. You have to replace the hardware device. If is there improper, the older network devices may only the supporting some of the protocols only, which is won't support the all other protocols. That's why we have to upgrade the hardwares or replace the hardwares, then only which support the advanced or enhanced version of the protocols. These enhanced version of the protocols now, we effectively transfers the information, and all the issues can be, whatever the issues now, all the issues can be resolved. That means which support more the modern and secure SNMP versions. Here is modern and SNMP secure versions can be resolved. Scalability challenges. Here, what are the problems in scalability? As in a network management grows, the number of generally the number of devices that can be managed via the SNMP protocol. So this is a simple network management as a protocol which is increasing leading the scalability and the issues with SNMPV1 version 1. So the scalability, the issues will be arised with this the version 1 due to the limitation in handling the large network efficiently. If the network, private network or the public network, if the network size is very large, so in these other cases, in this other situation, SNMPV1 now, which can't able to handle the large network data. So this is the scalability issues. For that one here, the solution is now consider the transitioning to the SNMPV3. Here is now we have to consider the transitions SNMPV3 or using the other network managements. Here other network management are the protocols. That means these SNMPV3 advanced to the protocol or other networking protocol now, which is having the more other scalable, and which is having the more efficient for the larger other network. So now which is managing the data transparency on a larger network. Load balancing and clustering SNMP manager can also help in handling the increased loads. Here is these are the problems and the solutions should help navigating some of the challenges which is associated with the MIB database, that is a message information database, or simple network message protocol version 1, and some of the practical network management issues. Whatever the management issues is there, the practical management issues can be resolved. Some of the real-time problems and solutions. The real-time problems are SNMP polling delay. Here is in a large network, SNMP polling delays can occur, which are causing the outdated or that reported by the network management system. For that now, the solution is optimizing the polling intervals and using the SNMP tabs and increasing the polling efficiency. So by these other techniques now, these the polling the delay can be resolved. Real-time problems. Here another the real-time problem is a high network latency affecting SNMP performance. SNMP the performance. That means here the problem is high network latency can impact the SNMP communication. So this is the problem, which leading to timeouts or slow the responses from the SNMP agents. That means the solution for that one is optimize the network the performance. Here, this network the performance while optimizing the network performance, we have to address the issues, latency issues, by improving the latest the network infrastructure. What are the issues arising? We have to identify that one. This is one solution. And upgrading the links. By identifying issues and upgrading links now, we can reducing the congestions and optimizing the routings. Here the congestions and optimizing the routing, and adjust the timeout settings. That means here we are adjusting the timeout setting. So this is another other solution. Timeout value here, increasing the timeout value. In a SNMP manager, this is the protocol manager which accommodate the higher latency and reducing the chance of timeout. So it is reduce the timeout or the chance. This time other settings. Implementing the SNMP caching. SNMP caching, by implementing the SNMP caching generally, these are the SNMP caching which is working as a reference of locality. Here is which caching, this is the caching mechanism by reference of locality. This is the caching mechanism. What it do means now, which reduce the frequency of the SNMP request for the frequently accessed data. And next the problem is SNMP community string leaks. Here it is another real-time problem. That means leaked or exposed SNMP community strings. So that can lead unauthorized access to network device. When the unauthorized access to the network device will happen, whenever the network which is in this the network device having the vulnerabilities and risking the data securities and the network the integrities. So these are all the problems. These are all the problems now. Here, this is the problem. The community strings will be leaks. For that now, the solutions is changing the community strings regularly. So this is a main the solution for that one. Regularly, we have to upgrade the community strings and ensuring they are very complex and hard to guess. So this is one the solution. And implementing the access controls. So unauthorized the parties. So the controlling mechanism now, we have to implement the controlling mechanisms. So that means SNMP access to trusted IP address. Trusted the IP address and uses the network and the segmentation to isolate the SNMP traffics. Monitoring the SNMP traffic. Here, what will happen? Use the network monitoring tools. Now, we can detect any unusual SNMP traffic patterns and unauthorized access attempts. Yes, next SNMPV1 security vulnerabilities. Here is it is a generally the attackers now always they will focus the security vulnerabilities, weakness of the network only. Here is lack of the encryption and authentication, so can expose the network management data, which is network made to unauthorized the access and tampering. For that one, the solution is upgrade to the SNMPV2 and SNMPV3 protocols. Here, with this upgrading these protocol versions now, the security, these other issues can be resolved. Limited SNMP access. Limited SNMP access. Now here, restrict the SNMP access to a specific network segments and a device to the minimizing the exposure. That means now use the network security measures. Using the network security measures. Now implement the additional network security measures like firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and protocol SNMP traffic controlling other mechanisms. Here is the textbook for this one is Network Management Principles and Practice by the Stephen Morris. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.